Hi folks, and welcome into the Truck King YouTube channel. Today we're looking at a pair of full-size SUVs, and honestly, if you're going for one of these big vehicles, it's probably because you have a lot of people and stuff to move, and that's exactly what we're going to put to the test. That right there is the 2025 Chevy Tahoe, and that's the 2025 Toyota Sequoia, and in this video we're going to look at all the features, we'll climb inside, talk about passenger space, and then we will hook up a trailer and go tow, and talk about which one is better, so make sure you stay tuned. Let's start by looking at the numbers and talking about the vehicles we have here today. So this is the Sequoia TRD Pro, which is the off-road version. And if you're curious how these two SUVs do out there in the mud, well, we actually did a full off-road comparison that is here on the channel. So if you want to watch these things getting dirty, go watch that video. No, right now I want to focus on the towing and livability with these big SUVs. So yes, this is the TRD Pro. That means you're getting unique styling, you're getting upgraded suspension and tires, and most importantly, what is the tow rating? Well, on this model, it is 9,020 pounds, and now we'll check the payload over here on the door jamb sticker, and we're talking about 1,195 pounds of payload, which isn't really a great payload rating, especially for a vehicle that can do just over 9,000 pounds. Now let's look over here. This is the Chevy Tahoe Z71, also the off-road Focus trim in this lineup. Now for 2025, Chevy has revised the whole Tahoe line, so we have a new front fascia here, entirely new styling, and a revised interior. So yeah, a lot changed on Tahoe for 2025. The nuts and bolts, though, really didn't change. Now tow rating on our Tahoe as it sits is 8,000 pounds even, and let me check the payload rating. We're talking about 1,492 pounds of payload. So yes, the Chevy has a little bit less overall towing, but it has more payload. And in the real world, that's probably the combination that you want, because you don't want to be going over that payload number. Now, the last thing I have to do is shout out to General Motors for their excellent trailering information sticker. You can see it right here. It tells me the exact numbers on this Chevy Tahoe as it sits. I think every brand needs to do this. Make it simple for consumers to get to those numbers by just putting it right on the vehicle. So yes, love that sticker on the Tahoe. I have to jump in here and interrupt this video to tell you about some new technology I just installed here in my old truck. This is the Wolfbox G900 Pro Mirror Dash Cam, and it's offering you camera views out the front and rear of your vehicle, plus it just mounts right onto your existing rear view mirror, but there's a whole bunch of features here. Let me tell you about them. Now we're out here on the road, you can see this Wolfbox G900 in action. Now this is the view that I like. It's the split screen view, so I'm getting a forward and a rear looking view, and it's really nice resolution. I like the way the screen looks, and that is a 12-inch touchscreen up there. Now the other thing that's here, voice command, so I can say, show front camera. Another nice feature here is Wi-Fi, so you don't have to take the SD card out to get to that footage. You can hook it up to your phone, transfer it straight using an app, and it's 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi, so the transfer speed should be pretty quick as well. Another nice feature here is the night vision. Of course, this will work at night. Now, your front camera is 4K, your rear camera is 2.5K, and the resolution at night is really crystal clear. So yeah, it doesn't matter when you're driving, you're going to see exactly what you want to see. And if you're interested in something like this, go below in the description and hit the link, and you can check out the Wolfbox G900 for yourself. Now let's look at the people hauling capabilities of these SUVs. So first of all, the baby seat situation. We do have lower latch here in our captain's chairs and top tethers on the captains, plus 3 top tethers along the back row. So let me climb in. So on paper, This is listed at over 40 inches of second row legroom, and it's absolutely a ton. I stand at 6'2", but I fit in here just fine. Got plenty of headroom, even with the big panoramic sunroof, so that's nice. Another thing which is nice, this seat has many inches of adjustability, and this is always key. So if you're a smaller person, you can move forward and give the third row person more space, or vice versa. So yeah, really nice second row. For amenities, you're getting a USB-C port down here, you're getting your own HVAC controls, and you're also getting a proper 3-prong plug down below. Now we will put the third row to the test. So these seats flip and tumble, which is handy. Makes it really easy to get back here. And this is, yeah, really quite good. So this is just about 35 inches of third row legroom, and I'm fine. My knees are a little bit tall, so the floor does come up a little bit, but it's not that bad. And of course, this seat could move forward or back, but yeah, I fit pretty good back here, and I almost have more headroom in the third than I had in the second, so no problem with the headroom. I like to see that you're getting a vent up here for the third row passengers. That's always nice to have. We're also getting our own USB-C ports back here and a cup holder. So yeah, decent amount of features back here in the third too. And this is always the mark of a good third row. If I can sit back here and say I'm comfortable, well, pretty much anybody's going to fit. So yeah, nice third row in the Tahoe. Now the Sequoia, and when it comes to baby seats, there's a little bit less flexibility. On our captain's chairs, we have lower latch and top tethers, but in the third row, there's only a single top tether, unlike the Tahoe, which had 3. So on paper, this is just under 40 inches of second row legroom, but it's fine. I fit back here okay. I have enough legroom. My knees are a little bit taller than they felt in the Tahoe, but really not bad. Headroom is just okay. There is this bit of a recess here I have to fit in. If I lean too much over here, driver's side, I end up banging off the roof. So yeah, headroom's not quite as good here as it was in the Chevy either. Now when it comes to amenities, they're pretty similar. I do have my own HVAC controls on a screen, a pair of USB-C ports, and see, Toyota's funny, they haven't gone all USB-C in all of their products yet, like the Sequoia here has a USB-A and C. I think I prefer that for now. For 2025, it's nice to get both, and there's a 3-prong plug down there as well. Now let me check out the third row. Oh, and I should mention this second row, these seats do not move forward or back. These things are fixed. So these tumble right up out of the way too, just like the Chevy. And we'll pull this down and pull that up. Oh, I gotta get my headrest up back here too. So, Toyota actually lists a range back here. The most legroom you can get is just over 33 inches. And the legroom's actually not terrible. It's not like I'm jammed into this seat. The issue that you can probably see is that the floor is really tall. The battery pack sits back here in the rear of these Toyota hybrids, so it brings the floor way up. So yeah, this is not a comfortable seating position. Plus, I just straight up don't have enough headroom. I'm basically banging right into the roof here. So yeah, this would not be a comfortable ride for me if I had to sit here for any length of time. I will point out though, these are power reclining seats. It actually reclines pretty far, although then I'm jamming my head into the roof back here. So yes, you do get power recline. I also get third row vents, so nice to have HVAC, and there's even third row sunshades. The Toyota has the shades in the second and third row. The Chevy didn't have those. So a few nice features back here in the Sequoia, but overall, just talking about fitting people in one of these SUVs, the Tahoe is definitely better. Now I want to talk storage. First we'll look at the Sequoia, and I got to point out that yes, the glass does open independently of the hatch here. And now we'll open the hatch, and the storage story back here is sort of interesting. I'll show you what I mean. So they list the storage behind this third row as just 11.5 cubic feet, and you can see it's really not a ton, but there's a couple tricks. So first of all, there's this little shelf down here, and Toyota has 3 different spots where it can fit in, and now you've created this upper shelf and then your lower deck, and you could even go right up into there. And then you'll see these little load stoppers actually pop out of here. So maybe you just want two, maybe you want a small compartment on this side and then a bigger one over here. You have a few different spots where you can move those around. So that's also pretty neat. And then there's one more trick up its sleeve. This third row actually slides quite a bit. So if I push these all the way forward, take this floor mat out of here, there's these little flaps, and now it gives me a pretty nice flat floor, and there's still a little bit of storage down underneath. Now when you have it in this configuration, yes, this third row is almost unusable, especially for an adult. But if you are like me and you have little kids who are in car seats, this is still going to be workable, and then you get all the storage. And what I really like is the fact that it's split. It also means you can do just one seat forward and one seat back. So while there's not a ton of space back here in the Sequoia, I do like all the solutions Toyota has come up with to actually use the space well. Over here, I gotta point out, there is a 120 volt, 400 watt plug. So always nice to have power back here. And this third row is power folding at just the touch of a button. So yeah, some nice storage solutions here in the Sequoia. Why don't we now hop over to the Tahoe and see how that works. And you can see we got this one filled up, but yes, behind this third row, there is just straight up more space. You can see the actual number here on screen, but there's more usable space. We got our big bags in here. It fits just fine. There's no clever storage solutions over here in the GM, but it doesn't really need them as much because it's just straight up bigger. Now I will lift up this stuff to show you underneath the floor. You're also getting a little bit of storage under there, so that's always kind of handy to have that hidden storage. And then there are D-rings over here in the walls too, which are nice. And this is also a power folding third row. So you can drop that down and build yourself up quite a bit more space. And then just like the Toyota 2, there's a 400 watt 3-prong plug over here. So while I do appreciate Toyota's ingenuity and their clever solutions, overall, if it's just about how much stuff you can bring with you, well, the Tahoe's also going to win that competition because it's just straight up bigger. And if you were wondering, yes, the glass here on the Tahoe also opens independently of the hatch, just like the Sequoia. Time to go towing, folks. So we're in the Sequoia first. We're going to back into our trailer. We can look at the camera system. So that's your first view, the rear and the top down. You can also get a front view, looking at your front wheels, looking down the sides. And this view actually goes out really quite wide if you want to be able to look around. Or you can also sort of zoom in and zoom out a little bit. And then we have different trailering guidelines here too. So definitely like the one that has that hitch guideline. And then we back in. I do like, you can see this little volume control shows up here when the parking sensors come on. So it's just a one touch to shut that off. And yeah, when you're backing into a trailer, you're going to want to shut it off. And bingo. And now, folks, here we are pulling with this Sequoia. So we've hooked up 5,000 pounds to our trailer, and quite honestly, I probably would have gone more, but we have hydraulic problems with the backhoe right now, so it wasn't easy to move those weights.
Yeah, we'll have that sorted out soon. It took me a while to get the seal kits. I got about 4 leaky cylinders.
Yeah, so we'll get that sorted and then we'll be able to add more weight. But for today, I figured, hey, you know what? 5,000 pounds is still a good load. So let's put these things to the test. So here we are in the Sequoia. I think the first thing I'll mention is the power. So coming around a corner here, I'll put my foot into it. It's nice, smooth power. And again, that's that combination of the sort of electric motor giving you that instant push, and then the turbocharger takes over. Definitely a pronounced turbo whistle and whine that you can hear too. So yeah, good feeling power, and smooth is the word I come back to with this powertrain, because when you hear the words turbo and hybrid, smooth isn't always what comes to mind, but yeah, that's how it feels. The other interesting thing here with the Sequoia Dad is we do have tow haul mode, but this is the one that has the 2-stage. So it has tow and it has Tow Plus. And Toyota specifically says that 5,000 pounds is the line.
Yeah, 5 under, 5 over.
Right, so I've actually put it in Tow Plus today. I just wanted to feel it. And yeah, it feels good. It feels like regular tow haul mode. Does it feel, plus? No, it just sort of feels like normal tow haul. I'm sure the difference is just where the shifts are going to happen, right? In regular tow haul, they're probably not going quite to as high of an RPM.
Agreed.
And then the other big part of this equation, of course, is the suspension. So we have the Fox shocks here in our Sequoia. This is the TRD Pro. It's meant to go off-road. And you definitely feel it. It feels a little bit squishy. I don't want to say really squishy. It's not a big floaty boat. But yes, it definitely feels a little bit soft. There's a bit of body roll here. And that's just, there has to be a trade-off somewhere. If you want that soft ride off-road, you're not going to get a super tight ride on-road. But I also don't feel like it's sketchy. It's not really making me work too hard at the wheel or anything like that. Probably at the limits, that squish is going to get worse.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, this is fine, but don't forget, we're at 5,000 pounds. Truck is rated at 9,000 pounds, which you probably would never want to get to. So the best you can say is that at this weight, it works.
Yeah. Yep, that's good. But even feeling what I'm feeling, I almost guaranteed if you loaded her right up, it would just feel worse and worse.
Yeah. So I just mentioned 9,000 pounds. That's the payload. Pardon me. That is the tow rating on the Sequoia. Interestingly, though, a payload is only
1190.
1190. Weird number. Anyway, 1190. So let's talk about a typical bumper pull travel trailer. We typically use a 10% number as far as weight transfer is concerned. So let's say you wanted to try to go to that 9,000 pound limit. Well, then you've got 900 pounds of tongue weight, which you deduct from your payload, and you're left with just a hair over 200 pounds for all your passengers and all your gear. That's, that doesn't make sense. The math doesn't work.
No, and 10% is always sort of an optimistic number too. That tongue weight can absolutely change. It could be higher than that too. So yeah, the numbers here on paper don't sound great.
No, it's certainly not with the 9,000, and that's why I have a problem with that number, because it's like, I almost feel like they're giving you that one so you're like, ooh, I can tow 9,000, but the reality is 7,500, 8,000 max, so that you have enough payload to handle that weight. Anyway, figure that one out.
Yeah, and on the flip side, the Tahoe, the math makes more sense. It has 8,000 pounds of towing and over 1,400 pounds of payload. So again, doing it at 10%, that's 800 pounds off that payload number. You're still left with 600 and change pounds for people and stuff, which is totally fine.
Which sounds a hell of a lot better.
And now we're gonna go towing in the Tahoe. So let's back into our trailer. You can see there's your set camera views, the rear and the top down. You can also get an overhead, a side rear view, and then that nice hitch view. And then you have the same choices here for the front cam, so the standard front, overhead front, and side front. So for now, let's do the standard view, and then once we get close, we'll put it in the hitch view. And I'll say the quality of the cameras is pretty good, but it's not quite as good as the Toyota. And then the other thing I don't like to see is, look how big this screen is, but look how much of it's being used for the camera. Why not use more screen when you have so much real estate? But there's my hitch view, and blammo. Now, it still does the job. But yeah, I do wish it looked a little cleaner and it was just a larger picture. All right, and now we're towing here in the Tahoe. So first thing down, let's just feel the V8. Definitely sounds better, no surprise there. And yeah, I do feel like the initial hit of power is a little bit better here in the Chevy. Just right when you want it, it's right there. Eventually the Toyota gets there, and on paper the Toyota does offer more power. So I'm not saying it's not powerful at all, but I do feel like, yeah, that initial burst feels better here with the V8.
Well, I think, and it's the sound alone makes it feel better.
Yeah, maybe you're right about that, because it does sound better. And then I guess the other thing I'm feeling right off the bat is air suspension, right? We have air suspension here in our Z71 Tahoe, and when I dropped the trailer on the back, it brought up the rear end, leveled out the attitude, and this definitely feels more controlled than the Sequoia felt. The body is more controlled, way less rolled. The little bit of squish I was feeling in the Toyota, none of that is here. Is that what you're feeling from over there?
No, exactly. It's firm, it's planted, and dead level attitude.
Yeah, and actually those things could also be said about these vehicles driving empty. The Sequoia still has a bit of that roll to it, whereas the Tahoe driving empty, yeah, feels a little bit more firm, and the handling feels a little bit better. And ultimately, that equals confidence when towing. Now, with 5,000 pounds, I'd be confident towing with either one of these vehicles, but we said it, I think at 8,000 or 9,000 pounds, I would tend to come over here to the Chevy a bit more to get that air suspension and to get away from that squish in the Toyota. So power feels better, I'd say suspension feels better. There's one thing though that feels worse here in the Chevy, and that is the brakes. And now it's not necessarily the braking force or the braking power. It does feel like it stops it pretty well. But I'm going to come around a corner here, and I'm just going to put my foot on the brake pretty heavy. Yeah, and you know what, Dad? It's a spongy brake pedal. It's just spongy. Like, the brake force is there, but I feel like I got to put my foot way deeper than I do in other vehicles, especially in that Sequoia, to get this thing to stop. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of the spongy feel on the pedal.
Well, I can weigh in here because I've been driving my new Chevy 3500 for a year. And I felt that from the first time I drove it, and it's just like that. It doesn't influence the amount of braking you have. Chevy's just set up that you got to dig deeper into the pedal than you would, for instance, with the Ram I had previously.
Right. Yeah, and when you're towing, that's when you want to feel those touchy brakes. That's when, you want to feel like you got the stopping power right when you need it, right? And you get used to it. Like in your case, you're an owner, you got used to it, but it's still something to be aware of. If you're coming from just about any other vehicle, there's a bit of a spongy brake pedal.
I think that's just how Chevy calibrates it, period.
Now, Dad, we have to talk about towing technology in both of these. They both have integrated trailer brake controllers. That's a great place to start, very important. They both have multiple trailer profiles. So, if you tow a flat deck and then you also tow a boat or you tow a utility trailer, you can set up the settings for that trailer, and then the vehicle knows, hey, now I'm towing the boat, therefore I'll dial in, the brakes and the gain. Here on the Chevy, we get a few interesting things. The one we got to call attention to is right there. That is the gross combined weight rating alert. So this thing will it claims to look at what you're towing, and then it will tell you if you're overweight. And it actually says that we may be overweight.
We got 5,000 pounds on the back end, and we know that it's got a fairly reasonable payload. We should only have about 500 pounds worth of tongue weight, which would leave us about 900 pounds. And I've been dieting. So
Me too.
I don't think that's us.
No, yeah, I hear you. So I've actually had this experience once before. So the thing you need to know is, unlike Ford, who actually, they put scales right in their truck, this isn't a scale. This is using a number of different forces placed on the powertrain to decide whether or not you could be over that weight rating. So my guess, my best guess, is that when you're driving along rough roads, coming up and over bumps, undulating terrain, hitting a bridge, suddenly maybe for that split second, there's a lot of force placed on the powertrain and it goes off. But yeah, we had to call that out because I think it's cool that it's here, but in my experience, I don't think it's all that correct.
Well, okay, so it goes off, fine. Now you should reset.
That's fair, but you can hit it because that's the cool thing. Look, find a public scale.
Find a public scale. Yeah, right away. I'm going to have to go to a public scale because you told me that. I know what my trailer weighs.
But still, it's kind of neat that, yeah, you hit that button and it will find your local public scale and try to get you to go weigh your rig.
I don't think that's neat at all. That's just annoying.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's it. How many people are actually going to do it? I don't know.
There's a system in here with the light test where you can hit a button and it cycles all your lights. So that's a great idea. I can walk to the back of the trailer and see that everything's working. Brake lights left, right, etc., etc. This, not so much.
And so then how do you also feel about boat ramp assist. Now, this
No.
is not an actual feature. It's not helping you back the boat in, but if you hit that, and you can take a look here, it just essentially is a whole bunch of checklists. It's just going through all the things you need to remember when launching a boat, including tutorials, how to launch, how to pull the boat out. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. There comes a point where it's like, if you don't know that stuff, if you're relying on the truck to tell you what to do, then I'm scared for you.
Yeah, I do tend to agree with you. I always think more information is better. But yeah, how much onus should be on Chevrolet or Toyota to tell you how to tow your boat? You know what I mean? Like, it does seem like they're going one step beyond.
Or how to negotiate a ramp. You know, that's up to you to go with somebody who's has the skills and learn the skills from somebody who can show you how it's done properly.
Right.
Because this is, I don't know. Somebody decided they wanted to be overly helpful.
I think, honestly, probably where it comes from is the feedback that they get. They talk to these customers, and I bet over half of these customers name boats as the #1 thing that they tow. So with that in mind, somebody in a boardroom somewhere said, hey, if they're towing boats, let's try and teach them how to tow boats. But yeah, for the most part, I agree with you. This should not be, they're going a little too far with something like that.
Yeah, you know, honestly, I mean, if I want to learn how to play piano, I go to a piano teacher. I don't buy a piano and expect the manufacturer to teach me how to play the damn thing.
Right. Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting where these brands are going in terms of how much info they're trying to give us and what they're trying to teach us. So Dad, towing aside for a minute, let's just talk interiors. We're here in the Tahoe Z71, and actually maybe before we comment on them, let me drop the pricing. Man, the mosquitoes are out already.
Yeah.
Here,
I got him.
This Chevy as it sits is $107,000 here in Canada. The Toyota, as you see it in this video, is $101,000 here in Canada. And I gotta tell you, I do like the towing experience more here in the Chevy. I like the rear seats more here in the Chevy, more storage. But to me, this is the more expensive vehicle, and it doesn't feel like it up here. This kind of feels like old school GM black plastic everywhere. You get this one piece of wood here, which looks nice, and a massive touchscreen. That's all new for $25. I like that. But I don't know, you tell me. I feel like because this is the more expensive one, I have a higher expectation for luxury and nice interior appointments. I don't know, I don't feel like it's really here.
I don't know. I think it's because you just got out of the Escalade.
Yeah, maybe. That could be part of it.
This is, I agree, a little too much black plastic. But otherwise, I mean, the screens are nice and the rest of it is neat and tidy. It's fine.
Fair enough. Well then, yeah, I guess the other big takeaway is just the simple fact that this is going to cost you more than that Toyota does, and you got to decide what looks nicer to you. Well, folks, we are coming to the end of this video. Now, hopefully you saw it here on the channel. We did a full off-road comparison with these SUVs too, and in that video, I chose the Toyota Sequoia because I do think some of the 4x4 stuff that's going on over here is a bit better than with the Chevy. But in this video, when we're talking towing, when we're talking interior passenger comfort and storage space, we have to go with the Tahoe. It just delivers a more button-down towing experience. I think the towing numbers make more sense here. The air suspension works great for towing. And then straight up, if you're hauling a bunch of people, the Tahoe is just bigger, which means it's better. But now, of course, I need to hear from you. So why don't you drop into the comments, let me know which one of these SUVs you would buy. And as always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to the channel to see what we're testing next.